Yeah, Abhishek, I have been able to connect now.
Yeah, hi Permit. Very good afternoon.
Yeah, hi, Rinto. So sorry, yeah, I was facing
No
some
problem.
issues with the network, but I've been able
Okay,
to connect.
able to connect. Right. Okay, fine. So all the RMs already has been joined. So Permit, it's over to you. You can start the session.
Sure, thanks. I'll just give me a second to.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, okay. So good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining in.
Good
So as
afternoon,
you
sir.
guys already are aware about, this session is largely going to be focused on, right selling. How do you identify gauge opportunities? How do you ethically and using the utmost integrity service our customers, select the right products depending on the profile or persona of the customers, and then accordingly pitch and avoid any kind of mis-selling to the customer, which will eventually cause, reputation of the bank is at stake. Your individually, you might get into compliance or audit related, and there are several other complications in terms of disciplinary action committees that will come into play. So to avoid all of that, what's very important is for you to understand the approach that you need to adopt to sell your product right to the customer, right, and or not to mis-sell. We'll cover that, and then Pramit will be leading that entire piece. Pramit leads, compliance for third-party products across the bank. So he'll be taking care for that, this training. And then we will do in the second half of that session, we will cover pure compliance in terms of KYC and AML. Right. So over to Pramit.
Hi, thanks, Abhishek. I hope my screen is visible. I've been able to see this. Yeah, thanks.
Yes, sir.
It's my
Yes, sir, will
yeah.
be.
Thanks. So, just a quick overview on what we and Abhishek touched upon a large part of what I'm going to cover. So, it's obviously right sell and why we should be selling right and why what is the benefit is what we'll talk about. And I'm sure most of the people part of who are participating in this would know the benefit, and that's what we are here for. Okay, so. Quick piece. Today, Axis Bank is the second largest corporate agent in the country, and that's a big thing from a regulatory standpoint. It's a big piece to note because then we are kind of we have roughly about 10 lakh retail policies in a year that we cover, and that's a big thing for an IRDA who's a regulator and also for RBI. So that's that many lives that we touch upon in a year. So that's the reason they look at us very closely from a customer experience, from a right sell perspective, or from a overall quality of sale perspective. So it's important, keeping that in mind, it's important that we tread the right path on this particular aspect. uh, and when we talk about right selling and insurance and all, what is that first thing that comes into our mind is the question that we need to ask: are we doing product based selling or are we doing need based selling? That's the question we need to ask ourselves. Now, typically, and hand on heart right now, we, most of us out here, we prefer the product. There's something typically at the back of our mind. This is a product that we've identified and we've seen a customer and we try and push him that particular product, said ye aapko fit hoga, and that's how we initiate our discussions. uh, what we need to move or shift our mindset is towards a need based selling. And when I say need based is where, how do we reach there? It is basically you need to ask a lot of questions. You need to understand the needs. So for example, there are various people with various stages in certain various stages of life. Say for example, there's a married with kids and elderly citizens at home and all, and for them it's more about protecting people who are dependent on that person. How does he protect himself, the financial income of that family? How does he manage to continue the same standard of living in spite of him not being there in the family? Tomorrow, if there is some eventuality and he does not happen to be there in the family, then how is the bread earner going to ensure that the family maintains the same standard of living? Then there are similar examples where someone who is in a particular life stage continues a particular standard of living, not just while he's living, but also not just while he's expired, but also when he's still alive. He wants to maintain a certain standard of living for his family. What is the wealth procurement? What is the savings that he needs to do? And so on and so forth. So what is listed in your screen right now is the various stages in life. If you see the extreme, the fourth corner over there, the extreme right side, you get to see the senior citizen and people who've passed the prime, who've kind of finished with their work life thing, and they entered into a retirement stage where they want to relax and enjoy the life that they have in front of them. So for them, it's more of wealth preservation, more of planning, how they want to enjoy the next 10, 20, 30 years of their life. How do they want to take it up from there? So for all these needs, the important part is how do we really get to this particular thing? How do we get to understand the need of a customer? And that is where it is most important to do a need-based selling, and more importantly, it is by asking questions to the customers. The more you ask questions, why we are trying to, and Acha, by the way, Abhishek and team, I'm okay with if there are any queries or questions coming in from the group, please feel free to pause me and ask those questions. I will definitely take up those questions on the way. Otherwise, it'll be too difficult for them to remember all the questions at the end of the discussion. So team, please feel free to ask those questions. Okay, so by asking questions, what do we really benefit? In a product like insurance, or in any other third-party product, or generally, sorry, someone wants to say something? Okay, fine. We basically ask questions so that we can connect emotionally with their goals. So for example, if you meet a customer and you kind of want to understand, so what is your plan for the next 10 years? What is the plan for the next 15 years? How do you want to see yourself in the next 10 years? So, and he might say, see, my daughter is currently giving her board exams in class 10. Maybe in the next 7 to 10 years, I'll complete her studies and she might complete a post-graduation, and then probably I'll want her to get married and get settled down and all that. So he's got a horizon in mind. These questions are connecting emotionally to his personal objective, his personal goals and desires and all. So that is where you build and you try and develop a little more with that customer, and that's what gives out the right needs. And then you kind of, what we shared in the first slide, you kind of offer him products that are suiting his needs. So when we talk about need and the product, as a relationship manager, as an official of the bank, we have multiple options. We don't need to restrict ourselves to a particular product. We have, say, for example, a systemic investment plan, or we have an FD, an RD, or life insurance, health insurance, or a general insurance. And all of these will kind of cater to the customer at some point of time basis what his need is. So the example that I gave you about is need to create some wealth for his daughter, so that he's in a position in the next 7 to 10 years to kind of, after 10 years, to kind of manage her post-graduation studies and then take it from there on. So these are things that can help in a, say, for a systemic investment plan, or for a matter, a long-term life insurance plan. These are things that's going to help him. Moving ahead, what are the things when we talk to a customer, when we speak to a customer, we need to understand what are the things that really come, sorry, when we meet a customer that are outside the control of a customer, outside the control of a particular customer. Say, for example, death, a job loss, or say, for example, someone becoming disabled, some eventuality happening, some physical disability happening, some major thing striking. These are things for which you need to protect yourself. And this umbrella, which you call, is called the income protection. You need to basically protect yourself so that your finance is protected and your family is able to kind of sustain in spite that person not being the head of the family, not being there. The next, sorry, the next piece is on events that you can control. And this is more slightly longer term, where you can see you want to make some savings for your kids. You want to have some retirement planning done, maybe get some wealth accumulation done so that you can meet some of your planned objectives in life, your desires and all those things. So this falls into the saving category of thing. And then finally, you get to see the opportunity. Yeah, just give us, sorry, just a moment.
How much time?
10 to
Because our meeting time is with marketing, so we have already come. Really sorry, actually.
Yeah, sorry. Just give us there's someone coming in the room. Just give me a sec.
Say, voice is not audible.
Hey, sorry, sorry for that gap. We had to vacate the room. There was some urgent meeting that the team had. So I'll get back to my screen so that you can see the screen. And the top of the pyramid, what you see is a very, very long term, where it's more of the ultimate desire of the customer, where there's a larger investment in question, and that's where you optimize your wealth creation and all that. So just coming for all these three parts of the pyramid that you saw, the protection, savings, and wealth preservation. What are the kind of products that you would that will match the needs of these customers? And that's exactly what we'll talk about in this particular piece, where for events that are out of your control, you can always look at insurance. This should be the primary thing. Firstly, the first step that a customer should look at is protecting himself from any financial loss. Today, it's a very uncertain world with COVID and other things happening around. A lot of these mishaps happening. It's very important that you have the protection piece clearly. Someone should have it in their planning goals immediately. So for life insurance as a whole, and even for any personal accident or a health insurance thing, he should get that covered. Then you slowly move into things that you can control, which is slightly longer in terms of your tenure, in terms of scope that you're looking at. And then you can look at, say, ULIPs, market link products, or SIP, or probably a long-term bank FD, RD kind of a scenario. And obviously at the top, the ones where you really want to optimize your wealth and all those is where you get into retail assets and Forex, etc. So what is important is how do we communicate, and what we communicate, and how do we communicate to the customer, because that makes a lot of difference in what and how the customer will get connected to the seller, as well as how we get the overall needs correctly identified. So there are some basic do's and don'ts, and these are very basic and fundamental things, and I'm sure all of us in this call understand this. And basically, we should do a proper need analysis. We should never force a product to a customer. It's more of understanding the need and then offering him what is best suited. If there is something which we don't have a product which does not meet his needs, we should not try and kind of force another product which is not as per his idea suitability or something. So that's number one. Obviously, you need to have certain qualification while selling insurance or any of the third-party products, and for that, IRDA specifically asked for certain certification, which is called the SP, Specified Person Certification. You should be holding that, a valid certificate, which should be valid and not an expired one. And obviously, you as the first person who's there at the ground when he meets the customer, he's the first level underwriter that we call in the insurance parlance. So it's very important that person does a proper due diligence, knows the customer, provides the correct information about the customer. He knows the background of the customer, and that's how obviously he will be selling. So it's important to have those information so that we don't provide the source of money, the information, we know the background, so that we don't have anything which is non-compliant or illegal that is getting captured in that information. So as a first line underwriter or a first level underwriter, it's very important to not only just protect the bank's organization's goals, it's also protecting the customer, because tomorrow if something happens and the claim or some issues happen in terms of the settlement of the claim, the whole reputation, bank's reputation, the customer's personal family and all will get into a trouble, because obviously the insurance companies will have some reservation in settling those claims. So that's very important. Keep those do's and don'ts in mind. You should never kind of sell a product which is just for your personal benefit, in terms of if you get a higher credit or something. That should never be a reason why you should be offering a particular product. It's very important that you offer the product only as per the needs and as per the suitability. And there are multiple, if you recollect the slide that I showed you about 2-3 slides back, you have multiple products in the bank. You have an SIP, you have an FD, you have a PMS, you have a life insurance, health insurance. So there are multiple opportunities that you can offer. And I'm sure the customer will have one of these as probably a need that is identified. Just stretching a bit on this do's and don'ts. Always start using your pitch using save, invest, protect, and all those words, because these are positive words which kind of connects with the customer. And never compare an insurance product with a savings bank or a term deposit. Most people, when we analyze complaints that we get from the customers, what we come across is that customer says that I was told it's a 1-year FD and I was told to buy this and all that. That's something we should completely consciously refrain from doing. We should tell them very clearly, this is a life insurance product and it's not a FD or a term deposit or any other mutual fund product as such. So that's fundamentally which should be very clear to the customer upfront. And whatever returns that we commit to a customer, there is a clear IRDA approved rate illustration that is provided, which says X percentage and Y percentage. And that's obviously we should say, sir, this is what is given by approved, and we can only share this with you, confirm this with you. And we should not go ahead and say that, sir, the market has been doing so much, so there is a possibility you can get X plus 20% of this returns or something. That's something we should consciously refrain from doing it. So always ensure that you're representing a bank, you are representing an organization, and more importantly, you're having a conversation with the customer who is not just limited to one product. He is an opportunity for you. For him, if you are able to provide the suitable product to him, he's someone who's going to give you far more opportunities than just one product. So please think on those lines when you meet and when you initiate your discussions. You can just, these are some more examples where you should sell right from a customer delight perspective. Obviously, when you sell right, it gives benefit to the customer. There is more reasons why he should be delighted. And obviously he gives you more opportunities within his circle, within his family, within his organization, professional connects and all those things. And that is most important. It's not a one-time relationship. It's not a one-time deal that you're doing. It's building a relationship that is going to stand the test of time. So finally, I'll just summarize and what is the reason and benefit of selling right. Obviously, one is you build a trust, you build a very long-lasting relationship. Second is obviously you create a very loyal customer base. Today, that person, if he's really got the right product and that's helped him in fulfilling his needs, he's going to remember you for whenever he requires any such product. The first thing that's going to come in his mind is, let me connect with this person. He's the right person who can guide me on this. Then third is obviously by doing that, you're basically increasing your credibility as a professional. So that is leading to an opportunity that you get. It opens up the whole lot of opportunities in terms of selling him something else, providing him other offerings that you have in your basket. So that's the benefit and that's the biggest advantage that you have. And obviously in between all this, finally what you end up at is a delightful customer who gives you opportunity. That is obviously leading to higher earnings for you, business growth, and obviously your career opportunities go much higher and with that. So that's from my side. I just want to kind of end it over there, and I'll leave the floor open for some questions, if any, Abhishek and team.
Thanks, Pramit. I mean, deep insights, not only in terms of how do you, start looking at products, solutioning products for our customers, but, also a lot of insight in terms of selecting of the right products also at the same time. Thanks for that. I'll open up for question answers. So RMs, in case you have any specific questions, please go ahead, and you can either put it in the chat box or unmute yourself and ask these questions. You can raise your hands, and then we'll take it one by one. Yeah, Chaman, go ahead.
Go ahead.
You can unmute yourself. Chaman,
Yeah, thanks, sir. So basically, is there any thumb rule we can say the client, if he can invest 5 lakh rupees given to me, where I can park how much in life insurance, how much in mutual fund, and how much other instrument? Is there any thumb rule or one line, sir?
So Chaman, there is no such thumb rule as such. However, what you need to do is firstly, and that's what I said, stressed upon in the need analysis piece. When you meet that customer, the first thing you ask him is, what is his goal? If he's got a goal which is in the next 10 to 15 years time, and something that he also wants he's expecting this money to grow at a certain pace and all that. And after 15 years or 20 years, what is that he expects back and all. So basis that you can kind of decide whether a mutual fund or an insurance long-term savings plan or something of those kind, or probably a ULIP plan is the more beneficial for that customer. It's not like 5 lakhs, 2 lakhs I'll get put it into insurance, 2 lakhs I'll put somewhere else and make it like that. I don't think there's a standard formula, but you should go by the needs that the customer is looking at and what his desires and goals, timelines that he keeps for himself.
Okay. And so especially term insurance is very difficult to sell. Already they covered the insurance, term insurance, just young people project the insurance plans. So what is the pitch we have?
See, as far as, yeah, right. So as far as term insurance as a whole, see, for example, if there, and you're saying what I just gathered from what you said is most of the people are covered. Now, if there is a young guy who's the starting his career right now, maybe 2-3 years of work X and all that, and he's taken a term. Is that what you're trying to say? If that is the
Yes.
case, then yeah. So if that is the case, then uh, you'll have to see what his income is and what kind of a term. See, today, if he's taken, whether the coverage that he's taken is sufficient enough to kind of justify the income. So if this guy is in the early part of his career, in the next 10 years, he's definitely going to increase his income capacity. So obviously, the moment you increase the capacity, you should look at it about 15 to 20 times is the coverage that you look at. Typically, if someone's earning, say, 10 lakh rupees today, and in the next 10 years or 15 years, he should look at about 1.5-2 crores of is what the coverage that you should look at. So firstly, you should look at whether he's sufficiently covered. If not, you can look at ask him to increase coverage piece, or otherwise, if he's sufficiently covered, then look at other opportunities that other than term that might suit him. Maybe he might require long-term savings or wealth creation plans and all those things.
Okay. So part that we have see already, let's suppose for example, so already covered 20 times, for example, sir, or whatever 22 times as per income, as per age. Then other option we have, if we can take the risk, then go for mutual fund and other investment instrument, right? According to taste of the customer.
Yeah, as I said rightly, see, there are multiple options available in insurance itself as well as mutual funds, which you know. So you'll have to go by what kind of, see, you'll have to be very transparent discussion with him. And these are guys who are typically the customer example that I'm giving is someone who is in the early part of his career, may not be very well versed with the financial the right opportunities, and also the fact that that's the best time. And I'm assuming some of these people might be unmarried, so the responsibilities in terms of from managing a family and all might be slightly lesser. So the liquid income that he has at the end of his end of the month will be much higher. So there is definitely school of thought that you can offer him probably into SIPs, try and invest into long-term SIPs, or probably long-term saving plans.
Okay. Okay.
We will be doing a session, Chaman, also on financial planning. It's part of your induction itself, and it'll be covered, depending on which customer persona profile that you meet and the risk appetite of the customer, things that he's already invested inside, what he hasn't taken in terms of this thing. Also, what are the customer's goals, in terms of short-term, long-term goals. Analyzing all of these elements, you'll have to pick up products and try and position those products. So we'll be covering this as an in-depth session, in terms of how do you do basics of financial planning. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, sir. Yeah. Sure, sir. Yeah.
Okay.
Hello.
Yeah, go ahead. What's your question?
This side. Sir, actually, I just wanted to know about the profile of the defense customer who just really get retired and take the VRS from their job as well. So, can we also provide that kind of customer to, like, in terms of term cover, because they are not getting in form of salary, they are getting like because we just need to have a form 16 as well for the salaried person. So can we go ahead for this customer is looking forward to taking the term cover, because on behalf of that income only.
Okay. So see, there are certain underwriting guidelines, and I'm sure there are certain financial guidelines and all that it applies. And definitely term plans go through a lot of medical underwriting and financial underwriting. Your example, whether the customer who's taken a voluntary retirement from defense and is now probably into mainstream, whether the question will be whether he's occupied now, does he Is he currently having a service working with some of the private companies, or what is the particular income source that he has today? So basically, you will have to also look at the fact that a term is basically a replacement. Tomorrow, if that customer is not there, what is the financial loss, that income that he's earning, which will stop coming in? And so hence, what is the financial protection that can be replaced through that particular due to that loss? That's what the question is. And obviously, if the customer is having a certain monthly or monthly salary that he's earning today, can that, because that not being there tomorrow, or will this be in a position to replace that? That's the loss that they'll figure that. And coming to your question, whether he is eligible or whether he'll be allowed, depends on a lot of factors like the underwriting and financial guidelines of the particular insurance company.
Okay, but can we consider that income that he is getting after the retirement, after the taken VRS he just taken, and he is getting in form of pension? So can we consider that income for providing that kind of term cover to them? No? Because he is also getting that part of salary, some part of salary into that particular account.
Yeah, I think it should be, because if that income, I'm sure he's filing it, that particular income is also getting filed, right?
Hmm. Hello?
Yeah. I said that income is also getting filed, right, Ankit?
No, sir. Suppose it's not, then because
So
salary.
what is the income, regular source of income, that if that person is going to show on the application? Say, for example, if I show an application that says I am getting, this is the income that I am drawing and I'm earning rather, and if that is being is that the proof is provided for that? Because term policy will typically ask for some documentary evidences and all those things. So if he's in a position to provide that, as I said, those can be placed to the insurance company.
Okay. One more question is relating to the same term, that there must be some education criteria, because suppose customer is not having a good kind of like education, like he is undergraduate, then can he also be eligible for taking the term insurance under this policy? There must be he must be a graduate as well.
See, as I said, there are certain guidelines around the financial and underwriting guidelines that are applicable for term policies. Since your question is largely on term, I will have to check now that today we have a repository. I think so. There's information available where these what is the particular requirements, where you can take a particular term policy and all. Your question, I'll just check if our training team can provide that. What we can share is those will help you in terms of as a guiding line as to whether these customers can be provided.
Yes, sir. Please do share that, because these are the basic questions that customer asking for the same, and also want to go for the term insurance as well. So if you have, then please provide that.
Yeah, sure.
So Ankit, we'll make sure that those are provided to you in terms of one-pagers as well as product guides. But let's take a pause here. I mean, for the first half of the session on terms of right selling, we will be moving on to compliance. And we have Anuradha Pai, who's here with us. Anuradha, hi, good afternoon. Just give me a couple of minutes while Anuradha joins in. She's already in the program. Just give us a few minutes, please. Thanks, Pramit, for taking time out, to take us through this very insightful session. Ideally for all our RMs, we've now bringing right selling, as part of their induction module itself. And this is the first of its series, basically. And we will continue to do such sessions to try and take it more deeper in terms of policies and procedures as well. So there will be an LMS content also boarded, which you guys will have to go through and appear for that assessment as well. We will be covering both right selling, in terms of what you need to follow in terms of practices, and how to avoid mis-selling. So and what are the consequences of mis-selling. We will be covering that specifically, which you can do as a self-read. More procedural, not so much to do with this thing. You may want to learn those guidelines, and we will upload them in an LMS. You'll have to do an assessment for the same. All right. Yeah.
Thanks, Abhishek. Thanks everyone on this call. And as Abhishek rightly mentioned, we also have a training vertical which is led by Jita Ahuja. And in case you have any queries or any requirement for any refresher or trainings on right selling or any product level support that you require, please feel free to raise it. You can route it through Abhishek or anyone within the team, so that we can design those, or we can plan those sessions for you guys, and we can also help you through the insurance company training verticals teams that are available, so that you completely kind of empowered and enough to handle the queries of the customer. Thank you so much, and we look forward to catching up with you. Thank you.
Just give me a couple of minutes while we wait for Anuradha to start the session on compliance.
Abhishek, I think there is an issue with the phone, I think. And madam has written a chat that I'm on the call. Can you hear me?
Acha, 1 second. Na?
Said something.
So Anuradha, we are not able to hear you. In case you're able to hear us, I've also posted in the chat.
Hello? Yes, yes.
Yeah, ma'am, you're audible now.
Okay, you can hear now. All right.
Yes.
Okay. You can see the screen. All right.
Yes.
Okay, okay, thanks. So good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for the opportunity. So I'm part of Shubhrajit Chatterjee's team. Along with me, my colleague Suwarni is also there. So we are handling the compliance and operational risk training for the branch banking team. So we'll have a very quick module. It's not going to take much time. I'm sure there will be a lot of queries and session questions post that. So let's take it up as we go along. So just to give you an update that compliance is not just for one team or one unit, or risk management is not only to be managed by one department of the bank. It is a culture that at the topmost level of the bank, the senior management is committed to build a culture of compliance and risk within the bank, so that we are actually protected from any adverse consequences. Because as all of us know, if if there is a business loss, we may still be able to overcome it. But if there is a compliance issue, it has very serious or adverse consequences for the bank, which can range from as small, you can say, as a penalty, or as large to actually a shutdown of the bank. So risk and compliance management is something which is to be instilled in every banker, and that is the reason why we are actually needing to have a lot of focus on what is it that the RBI has actually come out with as observations for bank as a whole. We will not go into depth on this, but some of these things are actually relevant for all branch bankers. One of the points noted by RBI was that there needs to be governance and oversight across the bank. A robust compliance culture needs to be put in place, and ensuring that there is training and dissemination of what we are committed to do as a bank for compliance. That is one of the key factors for this. There were also certain observations with respect to market risk and liquidity risk, in the sense that where we are coming from for branches as a whole is that we should be ensuring that our deposits within the bank are not volatile. So we need to ensure that there are more retail deposits. There should be, deposits which are maturing during the year. A lot of them, nearly 39 to 40%, are being withdrawn prematurely. So when we are actually, looking at sourcing deposits, when we are looking at sourcing CASA, which obviously as priority RMs, you will be playing a very key role in that. Need to ensure that the percentage of deposits which are held to maturity are actually for the long term. We should not be looking at very large number of premature withdrawals and so on. So while though customers may not be having penalties to withdraw and so on, and they may have genuine liquidity requirements, but let us ensure that as a portfolio, when we are managing, that there is less volatility within our CASA deposits, because this forms and liquidity risk by our bank. The second point is in terms of operational risk. One of the key observations which we are still struggling as a bank, and we would urge you also to be aware about, is that there are a lot of duplicate customer IDs that get created. So there are right now about 19 to 20% of retail customer IDs are still pending for merger. That is, there are duplicate cust IDs. And there is invalid data in the bank system for nearly around 20 lakh cases for OVDs. That is even data which pertains to passport or KYC data is not properly updated in the system. These are for a lot of legacy cases, and this is majorly a cause of concern. We are still in the process of cleaning up. So right now we will go to it going forward in this module. There are a lot of process controls built in, so that we are not getting duplicate cases within the system, that we are each unique customer is being opened with only one customer ID PAN bank across products. And over and above that, the data has to be captured effectively by all the sourcing officials, so that we all the key data in terms of PAN, passport, KYC documents, customer profile, and so on are actually put in place. There are also many, so the analysis of reported frauds and all that did show that there was use of multiple customer IDs which are linked to the same contact number. Therefore, a lot of process controls have also been put in place. We are also putting OTP validations when we are onboarding customers for both email and SMS. So we'll come to that later. Some of these operational risk parameters is something that we are very deeply involved in resolving on a day-to-day basis. So this is something that we wanted to bring to your notice. Apart from that, customer due diligence exercise for beneficial ownership did not include independent verification. So if you are opening HNI accounts, many of the cases where trust accounts are getting opened, family trust and other kinds of accounts, if there is, the due diligence for beneficial owners needs to be properly done. Income and occupation mismatch cases were high. So this is also something which, over the last year, we have been trying to clean up. cases where there is mismatch of declared income vis-a-vis occupation of the customers. So maybe the occupation may be say either a housewife, or it might be a student and so on, and very high incomes are declared by some of these cases. So we need to be really clear about the kind of customers we are onboarding and profiling them carefully. There were also lot of lapses in due diligence related to document verification, signatures, contact numbers, and so on. So this is again linked to lack of due diligence during onboarding, which really requires to be the focus of the day. There is also cases where there is gaps in data quality open in our accounts, and there is wrong data updation in CKYC registry. So that is again, as you're all aware, CKYC is a mandatory compliance requirement across the financial industry, and therefore we need to ensure when we are getting in any new customers, all their data is accurate, all their documents are accurate, because this also gets recorded as a data input from our bank to the CKYC registry. Any kind of issues or observations of frauds in this regard will again play a role in tarnishing the image of the bank. Apart from that, there were a few observations, operational risk observations with respect to cash transactions, remittances, and so on. So this is also something which is a cause of concern. As relationship managers, when you are managing portfolio of your customers, do ensure that your customer accounts are active. So there is no point in actually saying, you're a priority relationship manager and, say 25% of your account portfolio is lying dormant. So it clearly shows that, there is not much of knowledge of customer base, or not much of control on the customer base that is there in the portfolio that you're managing. So do ensure that this is also a point that has to be looked at in terms of reducing the dormancy in accounts. There were also certain things like bank did not have nominee details in respect of 10 lakh accounts. So about 51% were eligible. They were active accounts, and that required nomination to be updated. That is singly held accounts. And they did not actually have these details specified. So right now we are again something this is that the bank is cleaning up on an ongoing basis. There are regulatory guidelines in terms of holiday interest to customers for TDs maturing on holiday. So this is something which is has to be managed at branch levels. So since you are also managing portfolios of sensitive customers, you should be aware about this in terms of what kind of term deposits your customers are having, what kind of investments they are having, and when they are maturing. There were also RBI observations with respect to the risk culture, customer data hindering customer risk categorization. So what this means is as simple as nearly around 30 lakh of customers within our bank, including some of the customers that you may be managing within your portfolios, do not have income properly updated. So there are cases where the income is showing as null or blank. Maybe it is a data flow issue, or maybe some lapse. But the fact remains that if we do not have basic information of a customer income or occupation updated correctly, either during the onboarding process or the re-KYC process, the risk categorization of customers gets impacted. So that again is a problem that has been pointed out. In the previous session, we were talking about the right sell. So this is also a point that we wanted to say, that there has been some increase in mis-sell cases in the previous financial years, around 1,200 odd, and high number of complaints received for alleged mis-sell as well. So this is definitely being looked at or investigated independently by a unit. But this is also another
Problem at
observation
my
that
end,
has
but
come.
I'm losing you. I'm not able to hear you.
Okay.
No,
Madam,
ma'am,
we
you
are
are
losing your
audible.
audio.
Okay. Should I speak slowly, or is it like I'm going too
Just
fast,
slow.
or it's breaking?
Yeah, slow. Better it's going to slow.
Okay. Okay. I'll go a little slow. All right. So I was were there any points within this slide that you did not catch, or you want me to repeat any point that you have missed out? Abhishek, would you want me to cover anything in specific right now, or
No, that's
is
okay.
this
I
okay?
mean, yeah, that's okay.
All right, fine. This is also another slide in terms of some of the other key observations from RBI for the RAR, the risk assessment review. There were a large number of customer complaints pertaining to levying of charges. So this is something for your information you need to be cognizant of. There were again a certain gaps with respect to signboards at branches, so that we will not get into detail for relationship managers, but you need to be aware about this. And also during, there are incognito visits conducted by RBI officials at any points in time during branches. So branch officials, including relationship managers, need to be aware about all these guidelines pertaining to branch banking and what is mandatorily to be displayed at the branches, right? So this is something that you need to be aware about. One of the points which was highlighted by RBI was that the same PAN number was linked to multiple KIF IDs. So there have been cases where also incorrect date of birth has been captured, incorrect information has been captured for date of incorporation as well for HUFs and trust accounts. So therefore, there has to be a lot more due diligence when it comes to capturing basic data of customers at the point in time that we are onboarding new accounts, when we are servicing customers, and when we are doing re-KYC for these customers. So some of these are ongoing observations which have been persistent for many years, and which is why it is important that everybody in the branch is aware about the corrective actions that need to be taken to solve these cases. Okay, on those were the points with respect to what RBI has pointed out as in terms of risk, compliance, or audit related observations, which were wrong with the bank. And now let us go to some key operational processes and controls, some corrective actions that we can take, that we have taken, so that we can actually mitigate some of these issues. So just three things that we will cover in this session today. One of them is called the T+7 framework overview. So many of you would be already aware of this framework. So what happens is this is mainly to mitigate the risk of new to bank account onboarding. Whenever a new customer is onboarded into the system for savings bank accounts, there will be an independent customer verification done at the ground level by a senior officer of the bank. This would be typically the branch manager or the branch operations head or a BRO who is apart from the person who is sourcing the account. So if as a sales person, as a person who has sourced a business, there will be some oversight which will happen through the T+7 calling process. Steps in the process is that a senior officer of the bank, like a branch head, branch operations head or BRO for savings and for salary, it is usually a BRO. There will be an automated task assignment that comes into the CRM application. This is the T+7 campaign, and the call has to be done as per the particular script which is circulated to the branch. The branch head will try to determine that everything is correctly captured, that the mobile number of the customer is captured correctly, the email ID is telling, the address is correct, the profiling is correct. This is important. Whether the income, the occupation declared by the customer is matching, or is there any kind of need for suspicion on this? Is the customer aware that the account has been sourced in his or her name? As a customer, sign the documents and so on. So there will be a detailed a call that would be done in a very indirect manner, so that the customer doesn't feel that they are being questioned or investigated, but basically the branch head should get comfort in terms of what kind of account has been sourced. In case, however, there is any suspicious profile found during the calling, then the branch head has to ensure an independent field verification. If there is field verification is negative, then the total freeze will be levied to the account. The branch head may levy a freeze immediately if they choose to, through raising a service request to the CLH, or otherwise on a fortnightly basis, the CO team pulls out a report from the CRM, and we would be actually levying this freeze centrally. So T+7 calling has to be implemented strictly as per defined process. This has to be done within 5 working days of the task getting assigned. So if the account is sourced today, within 7 days, the call will be assigned in the system, and within 5 working days post that, the call needs to be actually completed. In case there are any pending tasks, then obviously this will be escalated to region and circle level. They will be monitoring and they will be deep diving into rejected cases. The consequences of not doing this properly is that there are increased chances of suspicious transactions and fraud in the account. The BOHI score will be definitely impacted for cases where there are pending cases for calling, and there will be adverse consequences for branch heads or for executive sourcing the account. In case, if you approve the call, if you approve the T+7 activity, and then at a later stage, if there is any independent second level field verification done, if risk identifies any suspicious activity in the account, there will be a level of consequence that would be there for the people who have sourced the accounts and who have approved the sourcing. So, the correlation between T+7 calling and second level field verification cases. So risk team checks newly accounts SAR on a monthly basis. They provide cases to branches for second level field verification KYC compliance checking. So even post account opening on a regular basis, if we do find that there is actually a negative case, then of course account will be freezed and then closed. But the idea of having T+7 is that in the first place itself, such kind of cases should have been identified. So if there are cases where, the rejected cases, they are going to be sample checked on a regular basis. In case there were approved status, but later on SLFE proved negative, there would be certain adverse consequences for people who are sourcing those accounts, right? So this is just a kind of an update that out of 4,990 accounts sourced in a typical month, most of them of course, were found positive. About 65 cases were found negative. And, some of those cases were actually approved after T+7 calling. Only 6 cases were rejected. So ideally speaking, all negative cases should not be cropping up 2 or 3 months post account opening. It should be done ideally within the first 15 days of account opening itself. So that is the aim of the T+7 program. We should identify and mitigate the fraud at an early stage. So that is about the T+7 program. Do we have any questions at this stage, or we go through the deck and then we'll take questions? Okay, we'll just proceed. One of the causes of concern again, which with respect to NTB cases, is for the common NFTR reasons. So while sourcing accounts, this is across all kinds of channels, and for NRI as well as domestic SAR, many of the cases, 42% the cases for e-forms, it's like the form is incomplete or incorrect. There are data sheet discrepancies, branch confirmation required, address proof. So some of these are the the top few reasons for e-forms sourcing. Most of you would be sourcing accounts on tab, wherein the top NFTR reasons is incorrect applicant details entered. So we need to be clear that the name which is appearing in the OVD is the same as what is entered in the account opening form. And the NSDL PAN validation is also the same. So that, we don't have these kind of discrepancies or reasons for NFTR that keep appearing. Supporting documents, obviously, missing. So these are very, very common reasons. And I would say that just going through the account opening, most important documents, and going through the FAQs for account opening, I think should help you to mitigate some of these reasons. And the last few things that we wanted to cover during this quick session is that as per the RBI observations earlier, which we had covered, we have built some new processes for control so that we are reducing these kind of risk to the bank. So first thing is that if mobile number should not be mapped to 4 customer IDs or more than 4 customer IDs. So if a mobile number is mapped with 3 or less than 3 customer IDs in our new application in the new CASA form, the system will allow you to proceed further. Otherwise, you will have to map a different mobile number for the account. That is one point. The second thing is that there will have to be OTP validation on the customer's mobile number and email ID. And once that OTP validation is done, only then the account would have to be taken further. Only where cases where let's say the customer doesn't receive an OTP, there's any network issue or something, after a 15-minute time window, then the branch will be allowed to proceed further and take forward the account opening. But some of those cases will be also monitored, so that we need to ensure that the mobile number data that is taken is structurally valid, email ID also is structurally valid. So there are some very, there are so many cases wherein just the domain name is incorrectly spelled. So just be aware of the fact that when the customer is giving you information, especially when you're onboarding through the tab, you are entering all these details correctly, and the validation is also happening. Another piece with respect to data quality is that there are certain data validations for the proof of identity and address documents, wherein, let's say, there should not be any special characters and repetitive alphabets in address section. Many a times when address comes to us through the UIDAI, it's like a short address. So just you need to check that the entire data is entered, or otherwise utilize the latest document where you have a full address which is available. There are validation rules also for POI and POA documents. That is, the PAN has to be structurally valid. The fourth character of the PAN has to be P in case it is an individual account. So some of these things are really have to be validated at the onboarding level. So we have built-in system controls for that. No nomination. This is also another field, because as a part of the RBI observations related to nomination. So if the customers need to nominate, however, they do not wish to, they have to provide mandatorily a reason for this. And so drop-down values have been provided in our systems. This is also another very important point, that we have launched a new set of occupation codes for customers. This is again as per the RBI RAR observations, that we need to have more comprehensive data of our customers in terms of occupation. So it's not just going to be, earlier it used to be, salaried was one of the occupations, self-employed was one of the occupations. But now we need to get deeper, that what kind of salaried customer, is it a defense, is it diplomat, is it a PSU, private sector, public sector, whatever it is. So there will have to be these kind of drop downs have been launched. A new set of occupation codes is launched. There is also income and occupation validation. So there are certain occupations. One of the major common ones could be a housewife. If that person has an income beyond 5 lakhs and above, then typically there also has to be a reason declared by the branch manager or by the sourcing official, wherein we will have to declare what is the reason that a housewife or people with certain vulnerable occupations, like it could be some attendant or helper or chauffeur, driver, and so on. So what is the reason they are having annual income more than 5 lakhs? So some of these drop-down reasons will have to be selected mandatorily before we proceed further with the case. And there are certain no-go cases in case of premium accounts. So there is an income occupation mismatch grade. So this is just for your information, that there are certain occupation codes with upper limit of 5 lakhs, and there are some occupation codes which are not even going to be allowed for sourcing premium accounts. So for example, attendant, caretaker, driver, maid, waiter, and so on. So these will not be allowed for priority and burgundy and above, right? So this is also for your information that system will typically restrict these cases. And the last thing is geotagging basis pin code. So typically what happens is when we do a field verification, there have been instances, where frauds were committed earlier, wherein a person had sourced an account in one city, but it seemed that the field verification was done when the person was in another city, the sourcing executive was in another city. So that was obviously a major discrepancy. What we've implemented now is a system match of geo coordinates, so which is in sync with the CASA APK app, which is there on the device of the person who is sourcing the account. So basically, you have to be at the same location, pin code of the customer at the time the field verification is being done, and the system will match the geo coordinates. If it is not successful, there will be a pop-up message, and the case may get rejected at SMBH work step. And this case, then either the user can resubmit the case or recapture the geo coordinates. And if you are resubmitting, then we need to have a valid explanation why the mismatch is there. So that is basically it in terms of the new processes for account opening. This I'll not go through in detail, but just for your information, the expectation from head branch banking, for the expectation from senior management is that today not even no circle has more than 21% branches with A rating. But the expectation is at least 35% branches of a circle should get A rating in terms of audit. So all taking care of all these observations that we've just gone through at the time we are sourcing customers and at the time we are managing their portfolios will definitely help in reducing some of these common observations from an audit point of view. And the expectation going forward is at least 35% branches of a circle get A, 55% of a circle get B rating, and remaining 10% of branches can be rated as C. But the main thing is most of our branches at least should be having at least A or B. We should not even be having such kind of outliers which are having audit ratings as low as D or E. Right. So that is basically it from the audit point of view. So if we have any questions or clarifications, we'll be happy to take it forward.
Hello, ma'am. This is Brindavan Mohanty.
Yeah.
Can I slide जो था ना मैम ये जो no nomination region capture, no nomination region capture उससे पहले
Yeah. You want to see that? Yeah. Is it visible?
This one, this before, ma'am. Before slide.
So this is the one on no nomination. Like the user has to give a reason for I do not wish to nominate.
Okay. इसका before मैम जो था वो वाला.
Okay, just a minute. I'll reshare the slide again. Is it visible?
Yes, ma'am. 16 number page, ma'am. Page number 16.
16th was data quality. After that, no nomination reason captured. So do you have any point you want to clarify on this? No nomination?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. What is your query?
Hello.
Ma'am,
hello.
Some customer will ask.
Hello, am I
Can
audible?
I ask, ma'am?
Yeah, so I would just request whoever has queries, if you could just raise your hand and then ask. Yeah, I think Ramya is there, right? Ramya.
Yeah, ma'am. Actually, some customer have two joint holder and primary with the two joint holders. So they were
Okay.
asking why should we give the nomination and all. What we can tell that, ma'am, for that
So
purpose.
see, usually what happens is that, if you do not wish to nominate, most of the cases wherein, we do not have any reason capture for nomination is that, they have either or survivor and, you have multiple joint holders and so on. But this is like it's an RBI guideline basically. All bank accounts usually should have a nomination, because even if you have
Okay.
multiple holders, what happens if the holders are they lose their life in an accident? We don't know, right? There is always an uncertainty. So this is from a regulatory point of view. We can be very clear about it, that it is a regulatory guideline that when you are having an investment, when you are having a bank account, you do wish to nominate. If you do not want to, you can give a reason. You can give a personal
Right, okay.
reason. You can give a reason why you do not want to nominate. You can say that I do not wish to nominate anyone. I will later add a joint holder. I wish to nominate later, so I don't have the details of anyone nominee right now. So these kind of reasons are already given. User can just choose one of the reasons. Does that answer the question?
Yes, ma'am. Got it, ma'am.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, Anuradha ma'am, I am Chaman here.
Yes.
What is when we open the account out of the state? Let's suppose customer is in Delhi
Yes.
and I want to open the priority account through VCIP, right?
Hmm.
In that case, what I need to take care about if they require any field verification, or is there any things I need to be very clear about that? Take care.
Yeah, so definitely if when we are onboarding a customer, we need to be clear about who is opening the account. It's not somebody else opening account in behalf of the customer. Is the customer address true? Is it valid? Or have I just used somebody else's Aadhaar to open the account sitting there? So obviously field verification is absolutely mandatory. What you would need to do is you would need to connect with a colleague, an official in any other branch. Ensure that the field verification is done and that you're sure of the credential of the customers that you are onboarding. And as an addition to this due diligence process, as we have told already, there will also be a T+7 calling. That means the branch head of whichever is the branch where the account is now finally held will have to call that customer and see that, okay, everything is fine, that they are convinced that it is a proper customer that is onboarded. Otherwise, that branch head will have to arrange for the field verification. If it is found to be negative, then we will not take it forward. And one more thing, from a VSIP perspective, now do you know that we have actually put in place certain controls in terms of the number of kilometers radius within which you can open an account. So typically speaking, I sitting in Mumbai cannot ideally, open an account unless I have a proper address in Delhi, and I'm willing to be verified on that particular address. Ideally, I should not be willing to. I will not be permitted to open that account. So usually the system does a mapping between where is the customer's location as far as their address is concerned, and where where the branch where we wish to open an account. It should not be at least a 20-kilometer radius. It should be within a 20-kilometer radius.
3-kilometer radius.
Yeah.
Where is my branch?
Yes. Yes.
But actually, we can VCIP. We can open anywhere, no? If I know the customer and if he can arrange any field verification or T+7, if I can follow, I can do.
You can, as I said, like supposing you know a customer in Delhi, you are arranging a VSIP account opening for that customer sitting in Delhi. That is fine. But somebody in Delhi will have to do a field verification. That is number one. And typically, if the customer's address is in Delhi, then the sole ID that you're going to be opening the account is not going to be in Mumbai. It will have to be in Delhi.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
So that's how it's going to be, because you know, obviously somebody sitting in Mumbai cannot do a field verification for a customer in Delhi, will not know the credentials of such a customer. So that is why this limitation has been put in place. Any other questions? Okay.
Can I ask one more question, ma'am? Can I ask one more question?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Can you guide me, ma'am? So you RM role. What is my have to look of it in portfolio concern? What is things needs to be care operations regarding? Just like first you told me that customer account is should be active. So what is 4 to 5 points I have to be check day-to-day basis, or I have to follow with that? Can you describe those points?
Yeah, so some of the points in terms of managing your portfolio is, I would say that ensure that wherever you have cases of, you know, high risk customers which are KYC due, that their KYC is up to date. That is one thing. Second thing is ensure that your portfolio is not having dormant accounts. So typically, you know, see, it is from both from a compliance and a business point of view, it makes sense that every customer should be actively transacting with us and should be having multiple customer relationship with the bank, so that we know that it is a, like, you know, a healthy account relationship that is there. We cannot have, like, you know, a customer lying dormant for many years and then suddenly some high value transaction is coming. We don't know what it is, where it is coming from, and so on. So what we are saying is the basic hygiene of sourcing accounts with full valid KYC and ensuring that all the customer profile information is clean and up to date in our system. And wherever customers are due for eKYC, that has to be done diligently. I would say these are the major things that you will really need to take care. Of course, we have already covered certain points in terms of, you know, mis-selling and all that, that you are very well aware about, that that is not going to be tolerated. But yes, from an operational or from managing the portfolios, these are some of the control points that you need to take care of. There is one more point. So if you are aware, there is a BOHI score, the Branch Operational Health Index, which is having multiple parameters in terms of what needs to be monitored by the ops head and the branch head of the branches. So as a part of this, some of your portfolio of customers will also be part, that there are cases where there are data delinquent customers. Like, so there are cases we know for the last 1 year we have been monitoring. There are priority customers where even the PAN is not updated or the date of birth is not updated. So either we should ensure that if we are not able to reach out to these customers or make them update these basic details, then we should actually you know, try to look to exit those relationships. Because high value customers, as we say, that ideally who are managed by a proper portfolio manager, who are managed by a relationship manager, should be a healthy portfolio which should not be having any kind of delinquencies or discrepancies when it comes to compliance and customer information. So this is something you need to be very, very cognizant of. We do not really want to see, you know, all our high value customers missing out basic information, like cases where even income is not entered for the customers in our core banking system, cases where date of birth is not proper or email ID even is not properly updated. So that means, you know, RMs don't know whether their customers are even receiving their basic services like account statements and so on. So just need to monitor your portfolio from this point of view, that if you ensure the health of your portfolio, you ensure the activity of the customers with the bank, then I would say that, you know, from a compliance standpoint also, everything gets taken care of.
Okay.
Yeah.
Basically, we
Any-
have to do a basic custom profiling, ma'am. And second is we have to do re-KYC, which we have to check that there is no any pending of KYC. Correct now?
Absolutely.
So
Yes.
rest of things will take care.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And there is a ma'am more triggers we got mail high value transactions. So in case of is there any high debit 5 lakh or more than that? So we can ask immediately na what is that, and also credit.
Yeah, so these kind of system triggers are generated by the risk team. So that is something that you would need to be, aware about what kind of transactions are happening in your customers' accounts, in order to provide that response for any kind of queries or request for EDD which is raised by a risk team.
Yeah, that mention was transaction status, that also showing that where is the money will goes to the customers, that also showing that time.
Yeah. So,
Oh.
what is your question? Yeah, you need to be aware about it, that if there are any kind of high value transactions, need to be sure that these are proper in nature, that there is nothing suspicious about it.
Yeah, okay, got it.
Yeah. Any more queries? Okay.
Yeah, Anuradha, I think nobody have any queries and questions.
Okay.
Thank you so much once again, Anuradha, for the beautiful, wonderful explanation in this session. Thank you so much once again.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all. Bye-bye.
So fine, RMs, we have one more session and we'll complete by today end of this session. Just give me 2 minutes.